There are three key factors associated with sailing downwind: speed, direction, and selecting the right mode to get downhill depending on the conditions. When sailing upwind, the best indicator of the balance of the boat is through the tiller. When sailing downwind, it's the load in the Jenniker sheet. The trimmer must communicate what he's feeling to the rest of the team, so they can react accordingly. In more wind, we not only sail lower, but also faster. So the biggest speed gains are made when finding the strongest areas of wind on the racecourse and staying there. As we'll see, this is the key to gaining, or losing, places on the downhill slide. The rig is usually set up for the best upwind performance, so the settings cannot be changed to sail downwind, but there are controls that dramatically affect performance. The backstay, kicker, outhaul and Cunningham affect the shape of the mainsail. More power downwind means we can sail faster and lower, so we ease the backstay and Cunningham right off. Ease the outhaul a little to deepen the base of the main, but not so much that we lose projected area, and control the twist in the top of the mainsail with a kicker. In light winds, as upwind, the kicker's eased. More twist prevents the sail stalling. In medium winds, we increase the tension on the kicker, but not so much that the top telltale ever stalls. In strong winds, we keep one hand on the kicker control line. It's the quickest way to dump power in an emergency. It's important that the jib is not over-trimmed. This will affect the flow over the Jenniker. It's faster to sail with the jib luff lifting than it is with it over-sheeted. Optimum wind angles vary with wind speed. In light winds, we sail higher to keep the Jenniker filling. As the wind increases, we can sail progressively lower. As we approach planing speed, it's usually worth heating the boat up a little to get the boat planing. Once planing, the extra speed of the boat will bring the apparent wind forward and we'll actually end up sailing lower and faster. If the wind increases more, the fun really begins. We just keep going faster and lower. So the sailing techniques are slightly different for light wind soaking and medium wind surfing. And the bit we're really all here for, flat out apparent wind planing. In very light winds, we're unlikely to sail fast enough to get any real apparent wind effect. Once the boat's up to speed and the Jenniker is filling, we're trying to soak down as near to downwind as possible without collapsing the Jenniker. The only person who can feel the perfect angle is the trimmer. He's watching the luff all the time, keeping it just curling, calling the load he feels on the sheet the pressure. More pressure. The helm knows he can let the boat roll a little further downwind. Less pressure, he or she gently luffs. The third crew member is looking behind all the time, checking for where the next bit of breeze is coming from. He can also feed back the relative speeds of the other boats. We're a little low and slow. This helps the trimmer to internally calibrate to the ideal amount of pressure for the wind conditions. If tactics call for a jibe, the third crew member ensures it's performed in a patch of maximum pressure to minimise the angle turned through the jibe. It's vital the trimmer is continually trying to ease the sheet. If the sail stalls, it will collapse, and the only way to recover will be a big luff, off course, and a long speed build. If this happens, the third crew member can help out by putting the boom on the centre line, giving the Jenniker more clear wind to recover. Sailing the boat with windward heel helps to project the luff of the Jenniker, and means the helm does not use any rudder to turn the boat downwind in the puss. All the energy is used to accelerate the boat. To keep the transom from dragging and ensure maximum waterline length, the crew must keep their weight well forward. As the wind increases, things get more physical. Because most sports boats are very light, the transitional phase before the wind is strong enough to plane, surfing the waves, can bring huge gains in progress downwind. Like tacking and jibing, fast surfing is a team game, with the crew trimming and pumping the main and the Jenniker to urge the boat up and onto the wave as the helmsman steers down the face. Here's a typical sequence of events. Third man, pressure coming and some nice waves. Trimmer, pressure on now. Trimmer, pump. Trimmer and third man, or helm, pump together and sit out hard. Boat rolls down the wave and gains several metres to leeward. Going light now, coming up in 5. Once there's enough wind to keep the boat planing all the time, there's little choice about where to steer. Too high and the boat will broach. Too low, it will fall off the plane. The trimmer continues to cool the pressure. He or she will feel the gust hit before the helm does as the boat heels. The helm reacts to the trimmer's cool and keeps the boat at a constant angle of heel. Weight is as far back and out as possible. And the third crew member has one hand on the vang, ready to blow if the helm starts to lose control. We snug the backstay to give the topmast a little more support in the case of a big broach or a nosedive. If, even with the vang dumped and the Jenica sheet eased, the helm does start to lose control, he or she may be able to save it with a little bit of rowing. If not, and it all goes wrong, don't panic. First rule is to hold on. Then someone eases halyard 2 or 3 metres. Keep the Jenica sheet eased until the boat comes upright and is back on course. Then rehoist the kite, sheet on and off again.
Downwind sailing is not just feel and balance, but also judgment of where to point the boat and how fast. These are the top tips.
Sailing downwind, we've got 2 modes. We're either displacing water or we're planing. When we're planing, the boat's got to be up on its heels all the time. You've got to keep the apparent wind forward, so that means anticipating the lulls, keeping the apparent wind forward, because as soon as you slow down, the apparent wind swings back and the boat stalls. So keep the boat up and ripping.
When I'm trimming the kite downwind, I'm looking just to keep the luff just curling. Now, I think I prefer to have more curl on it than to have the kite oversheeted. An oversheeted kite is very slow, a slightly curling kite is okay.
When the boat's in displacement mode, always look for opportunities to soak. Whether it's a wave, a little increase in pressure, a bit of windward heel, any of those things that help us get deeper are going to give us a tactical advantage.
In surfing conditions or near planing conditions, we can pump to try and get onto the waves. It's important that we're trying to pump the 2 sails, that's the mainsail and the spinnaker together. It's a good timing between the guy on the main and the person on the kite. In surfing conditions, it sometimes looks possible to catch a wave. If we try to catch it by pumping, moving our body weight around, we may not get it. If we don't get it, it often slows the boat down more than if we did. So, a good rule is only to go for waves that you know you can get.